CDs are back in 2025 and not ironically, actually back, selling again on the shelves of Target for a younger generation. Not just Journey's greatest hits. And for the price of a gas station burrito, you can start building your own music library. That never disappears because some streaming service got into a fight with some record label. Today we're going to talk about 10 reasons why CDs are crushing it in 2025 and why you should start buying CDs today.
Take my money.
But before we get into the video, we need to talk about how CDs became immortal in the first place. Dr. Tyler Cowen, who's an economist, said this: consumers gravitate towards formats where price and value remain stable over time. That's a fancy way of saying CDs are cheap. Cheaper in 2025 than they were in 1985. Adjusted for inflation, it's the biggest bargain in audio.
Wow.
And used CDs? Well, they're cheaper than a gas station burrito in West Texas from a Stripes, which is disgusting. I don't recommend eating a gas station burrito in Odessa from Stripes. Or Pecos.
Good to know.
A vinyl record costs between $30 and $50. And while I think that's definitely still worth it, many people do not. And at $9.99 or $14.99, the latest release from Taylor Swift or Korn is quite the bargain. In my opinion, it's the best bang for the buck when it comes to physical media. It's kind of that and records, maybe cassettes, or even 8-tracks. All the value without the subscription fatigue. CD pricing is stable because, number one, Sony got into a little bit of trouble with some of the other labels because they were price-fixing CDs, and I will actually link that video at the end of this video. But the other reason is CD production never really stopped because there's multiple formats that are, put on discs. Software, games, those production lines have also been automated. Vinyl kind of went niche. Scarce, hipster, expensive. CDs, ignored, cheap, but abundant. And if the new ones are cheap, the used ones are basically treasure, but not for the reasons why you think. A neuroscientist named Dr. Robert Spolosky says, the thrill of uncertain reward produces the strongest dopamine response. Think about slot machines. Thrift stores, pawn shops, used record stores. Many people in the early 2000s filled up 5-gallon buckets with their compact disc collection and their Garbage Pail Kids collection and threw it all away, which is a big mistake. But now, collectors are buying them all back. $1 for Milli Vanilli that sounds awesome? Sign me up.
Roger that, Milli Vanilli Chili Willy.
Used CDs, for the most part, generally work flawlessly, and there's something else that you can do later in the video that will make them sound flawless. If you've got the patience and the inclination, you can take a C-Note, $100, and rebuild your entire CD collection for less money than you could have in 1985. But the most important thing is about the hunt, because it's fun, and you don't quite know what you're gonna get, which means, dopamine science in your brain. So how in the world can you get a perfect copy of Will Smith's Big Willie style that's 28 years old? Well, it's because of the next reason. Dr. Chris Bishop, who has a PhD in computer science, says the following: digital storage maintains fidelity indefinitely as long as the data remains readable. It's kind of obvious, Dr. Bishop, but thank you. A CD sounds the same on the 1000th playback than it does on the first playback. And they're crazy durable. I used to have them on the floor of my 1979 Dodge Aspen RT. And I grew up on a farm. There's gravel and mud, and we'd step on them, and generally speaking, they would still play. No needle wear, no warping, no having to take a pencil and wind this back up, or cut it and then tape it back up. If the laser reads it, then it's the same. Light scratches, still generally works. Immortal Silva Frisbees filled with ones and zero wonderment. You can probably run it through the dishwasher. I wouldn't recommend it, especially with a masterpiece like Will Smith's Big Willie style, but you can take maybe Tchaikovsky's The Nutcracker and put it through the dishwasher and maybe it'll still work. Don't do it. CDs survive heat, humidity. I mean, think about it. We kept them in a sun-shade storage sleeve in our car, which probably got up to about 130 degrees. And obviously they still work 40 years later. Sonically consistent, but also culturally significant, because even though this is digital music, that's not the whole story, because the CD experience matters. Dr. Demetrius Xygalatas. Sounds like the character in an Isaac Asimov novel. Anyway, he said rituals shape perception and amplify emotional experiences. Choosing a CD, probably Will Smith's Big Willie style, which is a masterpiece, forces intentional listening. And the friction of having to pry one of these out of the jewel case creates emotional attachment. Physical interaction creates memory anchors. CDs make albums feel like albums. The tactile involvement makes your listening session stronger. And even though you can skip tracks, generally speaking, when you're listening to a CD, you don't skip tracks as often as you would on Spotify. Rituals turn listening into an event. It prepares your mind for the experience. It's not just background noise. However, a ritual means nothing if there's not great sound. And this is where CDs destroy streaming. Dr. Abigail Kosnick, who's a media archivist, says the following. Digital archiving preserves cultural memory against technological obsolescence. Ripping a CD to exact audio copy equals bit-perfect backups. But even better, if there is an error on that CD that you just ripped, it goes out into the cosmos and finds a fix to it and then fixes it. So if your copy of Big Willie style is a little bit rough around the edges, you can rip it to exact audio copy. And then there's computer magic that goes out and gets the fixes and brings it back. So then if you burn your copy of Big Willie style to a compact disc, it will truly be a perfect copy of Big Willie style. And then you can go buy some Blue Magic markers and copy this. And then you take all those yummy files on your computer and you can use stuff like Rune or Plex or Jellyfin. Never heard of that one. Think about it like creating your own Spotify with less layoffs. And now that CD collection just needs to look pretty on the wall because you have perfect copies on that hard drive of yours. Now, personally, I still like the CD. I like the tangible CDs. Even if they do have some errors on them, I don't care. I just like touching things. But the biggest thing is if some natural disaster rolls in and you don't have Wi-Fi anymore, well, you still have music. And this actually happened when we had a big storm come through. I hooked up my generator and my lovely wife and I enjoyed DVDs and music. Dr. Sherry Turkle, who apparently is a MIT technology scholar, says the following. Technological repurposing often reveals unexpected performance advantages. What does that mean? It means you could use a DVD player as a CD player. And if you use a DVD player that has a digital output, means that some DVD players can compete with CD players 10 times the price. How? Well, I'm glad you asked. An external digital to analog converter. And here's the beauty of it. There's some digital to analog converters, or DACs as I like to call them, that are pretty decent for about $80. So you can buy a used DVD player or even a new DVD player for about $30, add an $80 DAC, and now for $110 you have something that sounds pretty much the same as a $300, $400, even a $500 CD player. A DVD player is actually better than a CD player because the laser mechanisms are overbuilt. So your $12 Goodwill DVD player can pretty much outperform some of the audiophile CD transports out there. Maybe. I actually did a video where I compared a DVD player with an external DAC to a $600 CD player, and I couldn't tell a difference. And I do this for a living. Also, game consoles, except for the most recent Sony PlayStation, because it doesn't play CDs. I'll put a couple affordable DACs in the description, but a lot of receivers, a lot of integrated amplifiers already have an internal DAC in them. $15 DVD player running optical or a coaxial output from that $15 DVD player. Plug it into an external DAC or the internal DAC of your integrated amplifier or receiver, and Bob's your uncle.
Bob. Bob who?
Cheap, yet still sounds awesome. And once you start spinning those CDs, well, collecting becomes inevitable. And that's actually a good thing.